Okay guys, welcome back to your coverage of the SinaCup. This is our second season of this competition, and this is game one of our lower bracket finals between LGD China and Invictus Gaming. I'm basically here providing coverage on behalf of Beyond the Summit, and unfortunately, I couldn't find a co-caster before they started the game.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
So I couldn't find anybody to come co-cast. Maybe Gods or somebody will pop up in between games, but otherwise it's just going to be me solo. I haven't done a solo cast in a little bit, but it used to be pretty much all that I did, so hopefully I can find my feet as far as that's concerned. So let's give a little bit of context as to where we are right now. It's LGD China versus IG. LGD just got knocked out of the upper bracket in a 2-0 defeat against Vici Gaming in the winner bracket final, and now they have to come down and play a full best of 3 against IG in the lower bracket final. So the winner of this is going to advance to your grand final to play against Vici Gaming. Again, the grand final is going to be a full best of 5 tomorrow. No winner bracket advantage. There might be an advantage in terms of selection, so the Vici Gaming might have preference in terms of side, Radiant Dire, or pick. So I'll get full details on that from the admins, I guess, after these games, but it is going to be a full best of 5, no game advantage or anything like that. So LGD, it remains to be seen if they're going to be a little bit more tired coming off those losses from Vici Gaming. They were both fairly quick games, not too grueling, though we'll see if they were shaken up at all. And we'll see if IG were watching those previous games, because the style that Vici Gaming played was one that IG are actually pretty familiar with as well. They don't mind picking the Viper for the safe lane, rushing a fast mech, pushing down towers, taking those early fights, and pretty much just 5-manning the game out. So far, draft has been a little bit interesting. The Visage is actually going to be banned out, which is going to leave the Venomancer through, along with the Timber Saw. And I guess something else that we've seen a lot from IG, which we also saw from Vici Gaming, could potentially be the Bristleback, which LGD didn't seem to cope with too well in game 1 of your winner bracket finals. So it remains to be seen what IG are going to first pick. We haven't actually seen the Venomancer making it through that much, I would say, recently. He has been pretty heavily banned out.
5 seconds remaining.
We will have to see where preferences lie for the IG side. What else can I talk about as far as context is concerned? So these are the only 3 teams remaining in the competition. There's only prize money for top 3 as well. It's fairly top heavy from what I remember, and the total prize pool is somewhere around 8,000 USD or the equivalent. That might be first place instead. I would have to double check, but it is only prize money for top 3. So no matter what happens here, the 3 teams that we do have left in the competition are guaranteed at least some piece of the pie. And IG just going to end up going for the Timber Saw here.
LGD's turn to pick.
What other announcements do I have since I don't have a co-caster? For anybody in the Melbourne area, I'd encourage you to come down to the Team Immunity Dota 2 Masters. Gods and I will be casting. It's at the Caulfield Monash campus, and that's going to be on the 7th, so it's a little local Australian LAN. I'm flying down to co-cast with God. Should be good fun, so if anybody's interested in that, I can either just Google it, Team Immunity Dota 2 Masters, or after the game, ask me, and I can drop the link in chat with all the details. So I'm looking forward to that, looking forward to hanging out with Gods, and it should be good. LGD, they see the Timber Saw pick up, and it's a clean slate. There are a couple of bans out, but could really choose to do whatever they wanted from this point forward. Again, it does remain, well, we do have to see if they've been rattled at all by their games against Vici, losing 2-0. But a team like LGD, they've been around the block. I think they'll be just fine, and they're going to take the weapons of their opponents and use them against them. They're going to pick up the Bristleback here, partnering with the Crystal Maiden. So Crystal Maiden, talked about this with Winter in the previous game, always nice to have. Plenty of great heroes still left to pick up to take advantage of the CM as well. And for the Bristleback, well, he doesn't actually have that many mana problems, has great int growth for his strength hero, though he will still benefit from a little bit of extra quill spray spam.
10 seconds remaining.
Though they have picked the Bristleback into the Timbersaw. As we did clarify the other day, of course, Bristleback does reduce the pure damage. Well, Bristleback interacts favorably with pure damage. It's not any weird interaction, it is still reduced. Though we did see Bristleback having some trouble just being bursted down by a slightly over-leveled Timbersaw. So the same thing could happen here. The Timbersaw is going to be on the slightly safer Radiant off lane, which means that he is liable to get a little bit more farm. And IG, interestingly enough, are going to go for the Rubik. So the thing for me about the Rubik, and I guess I'll echo the sentiments of... No, the one thing that sticks out to my mind at the moment is echoing the sentiments of Kuroki. And I watched his video with Hotbid today, which is at DreamHack. So for anybody who hasn't checked that out, it was a good interview. I'd encourage you to go and have a look. But his view on Rubik is that he's fairly weak in the current version. The telekinesis nerf hurt him a lot. His overall laning isn't as great, and pretty much all that he has going for him is teamfight. Though so far, the only thing that Nullfield is going to be taking the edge off is that freezing field from the Crystal Maiden. So we'll see how this Rubik ends up going for IG. I still think the Rubik's a really solid pickup overall, still a fairly solid support, though we have been seeing him a little bit less of late. And I think that does go hand in hand with the nerfs that he received, and also the changes to the laning structure. Rubik is not a support who by himself can zone out a hero like a Bristleback, and a lot of that's just to do with base stats. If you compare that to, say, someone like a Windrunner, the Windrunner can quite easily get a little bit of damage early and zone a lot of your offlaners out, but Rubik doesn't really have that luxury.
LGD's turn to pick.
IG a little bit afraid of the all-in from LGD. They get rid of the Pugna and also choose to ban out the Venomancer, interestingly enough, and LGD just worried about too many evasive heroes. We'll get rid of both the Clinks and the Weaver, but it's not going to be Pugna push. It's going to be LGD with the Chen push here. So I came into this game thinking, okay, IG, maybe they're going to see what Vici Gaming did in the previous series. They're going to pick up that safe lane Viper. They're one of the few teams that are actually doing that, rush up the mech, and then try and just 5-man LGD down. But LGD, they are a team that loves 5-man themselves, and this lineup is fantastic for it. They've even got space to pick up a whole bunch more beefy cores as well if they want. And so long as they keep the Timbersaw down, then they should all be fine. We're talking about maybe multiple beefy core heroes being backed up by a Chen. So the Dragon Knight is perhaps still an option for LGD. They've still got their safe lane wide open. They've still got mid. Plenty of options there. Even some of your stronger, your premium ranged carries could also be great. The Luna is fantastic to have against Timbersaw. Makes your supports pack a little bit of extra punch against the reactive armor. And would also work great with the kind of pushing lineup that LGD have going so far. So IG, we have to see what kind of strategy they're going to go for. They've got okay counter push in the Timbersaw. They do end up going for the Viper. So it looks like they are willing to butt heads head on with LGD here. From what I've seen of IG recently, they've been running the Viper on the safe lane. Hao's been farming it. It's a fast mech. It's an early team fight kind of build. And especially picking up the Viper, there's no guarantee that he's going to find anyone weak on mid lane and necessarily crush that lane. So I am, at the moment at least, thinking safe lane Viper as a result.
10 seconds
remaining. Does remain to be seen. And LGD will actually pick up the Kunkka, which is something that we saw Vici Gaming banning out against them very heavily in their series. So LGD ready to deal with any push of their own. They're going to add another beefy core hero to their lineup. It is another melee strength hero, so concerns about the Timbersaw are still there, but now you've got a Bristleback who's being kept alive by a Chen and by the Rum from Kunkka's ultimate in team fights. So I am not quite sure how you kill this Bristle anymore. IG probably even need to look towards a fairly high damage mid laner, just because, yes, Viper and Timber are great, but it looks like you're going to have to pack that little bit of extra punch on top. They probably don't want to go for anything like Lich, even though he could help you win your lanes, just because there is a Chen. There's going to be a lot of just random crap in team fights to soak up the bounces, and yeah, IG continue to escalate in terms of cores. They are going to go, they are going to go for the Lifestealer. So they've got good heroes against melee strength, the Bristle and the Kunkka. Looks like they're probably going to be pushing the Viper over towards mid. with this pickup, and LGD, interestingly enough,
LG's
do
turn
end up
to ban.
banning out the Lich. We did just see them get absolutely destroyed. Well, no, we saw Vici Gaming getting absolutely destroyed by the Lich in the last, in our previous game, the second game of the best of 3 between Vici and LGD. But
10 seconds remaining.
I don't know. I don't feel that it would have been a particularly great pickup here for LGD, though it does look like they are a little bit worried about the strength of their lanes. And LGD looking for one last core. There's still plenty of great ranged heroes left in the pool. The Razor is going to be banned out. But LGD, I think they've still got space if they want to maybe go for the Luna, go for the Gyrocopter. If they want even more early game, I guess we could start looking towards... maybe start looking towards somebody like your Death Prophet, or maybe even a Slardar for the safe lane. Round off the really beefy core heroes. You've got a way to deal with the Lifestealer. He doesn't like minus armor that much. Same goes for the Timbersaw. And Viper has reasonable armor. He is an agi hero, but can still get beat to death. I guess the other option is perhaps the Night Stalker, but I don't think he quite brings as much to the table. Viper and Timber don't really care so much about... They do care a little bit about the silencers. It would be nice to have against the Nakes, but Slardar could be a strong option here for LGD. But still have 40 seconds left to discuss, left to decide what they want to end up doing here. But no matter what happens, I think we're going to see a lot of head-on engagements this game. There is hardly any split push whatsoever on the table. We've got Bristleback, Chen, Kunkka, Crystal Maiden, not a split pusher among them. Maybe Viper if he goes for, you know, a split push-esque build after his Aghanims can start working towards like a Manta and an AC. Then they can do a little bit, but no, LGD actually just gonna round things off with the OD. So if Bristleback had any mana concerns before, which I don't think he did, they're completely gone now with this OD pickup. LGD might have even been able to be a little bit cheesier if they wanted to, but OD helped secure their lanes a little bit, and the last ban into the pick did seem to suggest that LGD were a little bit worried about how their lanes were going to play out. We're going to have to see who is going to be laning where. Any of their heroes right now could be great as your safe laner. The Kunkka applies a lot of pressure to the wave, and makes it very easy for the Chen to come in for those early pushes. The OD is going to be pretty nice to have up there against the Timber, and it's actually going to be Rabbit handling that, so it looks like it is going to be likely your safe lane OD. But guys, welcome back to the SinaCup. This is our second season, and this is actually our second to last match of the tournament. We're in our second to last day. This is the lower bracket final. Loser is going to come in third place. Winner is going to advance to your grand final against Vici Gaming, and I'm Basecap here providing coverage on behalf of Beyond the Summit. For anybody wondering what this little exclamation mark is up in the top right hand corner, and I guess this is a little bit of a story before we quickly introduce the teams. Because of the issues yesterday that I had connecting to the Perfect World servers, it was a slideshow, it looked awful. Today I actually went over, logged into the... you can put -Perfect World in your launch parameters and access the Perfect World servers if you have an account registered, and actually registered one earlier. So I was doing some testing on the Perfect World servers just to make sure that everything was going to be alright for tonight. But as a result, you end up with this little game time accumulator up in the top left-hand corner just because my account isn't completely registered. And that means that I have accumulated 5 hours and 23 minutes of game time, and this is beyond healthy limits, and so I should sign offline and rest. I'm actually back. I've removed the -Perfect World option from my client, but this sticks around until you restart Steam or restart your computer. So yeah, that, for anybody wondering what that is, I thought I'd clear that up very quickly. But anyway, jumping over our lineups very quickly, over on LGD, we're going to have DDC on your Crystal Maiden. DD is going to be your Chen. We've got Rabbit, formerly known as Xiao Tuji, heading towards top on the OD. We've got Xiao 8, the Director, heading towards mid on his Kunkka, and Yao is going to be your Bristleback. Meanwhile, for IG, YYF, the offlane Timbersaw, Hao is actually going to be heading towards mid as the Lifestealer. We've got Ferrari 430 taking the Viper down towards bottom lane. Banana is going to be your last pickup, Ancient Apparition, so a little bit of long-range counter push from him this game. Great to have against the Chen as well. And Faith is going to be your Ribbit currently camping out a Haste Rune. And DDC actually going to just come up and zone out the Timber a little bit from top lane. It should be fairly difficult for YYF to do too much, but he should still get his levels here. The Chen's not going to be applying too much pressure to him, though he's never really going to have too much mana against this OD. Looks like, unfortunately... Well, did IG even try? Do they have their second ward up? Looks like they might have placed a ward up here a little bit earlier, but it was swiftly dewarded by LGD. So, not too much safety there for YYF, and as a result, he's going to have to play very defensively top, because any imprisonment could lead to his death. If he gets imprisoned, and then there's a bite, and then there's a troll or a centaur who walk up, he could very easily die. So expect YYF to not only have not that much fun farming against the OD, there is also a chance that LGD could pick up some ganks on him. Speaking of ganks, Faith has actually made his way over towards mid lane with this haste. I think he might have been trying to find the courier, but looks like not going to be able to do so. Platinum Baby Roshan going to be making its way back to base as well. But that's just how getting some boots delivered. Xiaowei actually ended up going for the boots first as well, so appreciates the killing power of the life stealer, and just playing things fairly defensively for the time being. And we will have to see what kind of build Ferrari's going to be going for on this bottom lane. It does have a Ring of Protection already picked up, so maybe an early Bassi, expecting just to see that fast mech build perhaps from him. It does depend on how much they think they can hold off LGD towards the late game, both with their Chakram and the Ice Blast from Banana. But right now, Faith and Banana both smoked up, heading towards mid. Xiaowei, your very, very likely target. And all they have to do is make sure that they walk in here the right way. They're going to start off with the open wounds. They're going to get the cold feet down. They need this lift. Faith's fairly slow, but there we go. And they've also got a point up in the Chilling Touch. First blood going to be drawn by Hao. Meanwhile, top lane, there's a loop around. There goes the Imprison, the Centaur, trying to line up a stun. They're going to go for the bite first. In comes the Centaur Stomp. DD finds his feet, turns around, drops the nuke, and Rabbit will be able to pick up your second kill of the game up on top lane. So both teams' early support movements end up paying off. A little bit faster for IG is going to end up getting them the first blood. Early bird catches the worm and all that. And we've actually got, well, YYF just immediately teeping back towards top lane. Yao, he's managed to reach level 3, almost level 4 on his off lane. Similar story for YYF. They're both doing pretty well right now. Though DD just considering going back in for another kill on this Timbersaw. YYF refuses to cross the river. And looks like he suspects that the supports are not going to leave him alone. So just back to the tower he'll go. In terms of overall farm, would expect a very minor lead in favor of IG with the first blood. Bit of an experience lead building up for LGD. They do have a full jungler in the Chen, so it is expected. And DD's doing pretty well in terms of overall levels so far. Our 4-minute rune is just about to spawn up. That's going to be Illusions down on bot. Yao's going to be swinging over there as well. Though looks like Faith is going to get there just a little bit more quickly and might even be able to lift Yao up onto the cliff. No, just able to activate the illusion. But looks like right now both teams fairly content to farm. Rabbit is your farm leader. Xiaowei is actually having quite a bit of trouble against the Lifestealer on mid whenever he walks up. Okay. Yeah, whenever he walks up, just gets slapped a couple of times. Melee hero against the Lifestealer. Never going to be in for that much fun. Yao looks like he's just going to be stacking up Ancients a little bit in his spare time. Vision is all of a sudden really fallen apart for both teams. Looks like we had a little bit of counter warding going on down on bot. So our only remaining ward on the map is the Radiant ward up on the top lane. So both teams playing fairly blind. DDC along with the Centaur just down in the river for the moment. YYF kind of suspicious about what's happening, but we'll see if he might get greedy for a little bit of farm. I don't know if he's actually spotted the CM here. It is of course nighttime, so I do kind of doubt it. And YYF just refusing to get anywhere close to a position where he could get ganked. But looks like IG, they are going to put some faith in the fact that they can hold off this push from LGD, both with their Timbersaw, who's getting good levels, and their Ancient Apparition, who's actually doing alright as well. Banana just kind of hanging out over on mid lane right now. And we are actually going to end up with Ferrari making his way towards a Midas. And we've also got How making the same decision. So IG looks like they're feeling pretty content to hold off the 5-man from LGD and are just going to be playing towards a late game scenario right now. There's a nice little stack built up for How to go and farm. This is a move that we've seen a lot of teams doing recently. You have a mid who can go and jungle a little bit, be it the Storm Spirit, be it whoever. You run a defensive tri-lane, and then just a little bit later, you bring your level-dependent support over to mid, they get level 6, and then you go back to what you were doing. So IG making very efficient use of the map, and it also does help close the gap a little bit that the Chen would normally build up in terms of experience. Though, and we've actually got the Radiant leading right now, just slightly in terms of your overall EXP. So what remains to be seen is, well, Rabbit also going to end up going for a Midas. Xiaowei, not sure if he's going to go for the same thing. He hasn't gone for a particularly ganky build. However, only 1 point in X marks the spot so far. So it looks like he's also settling in for a little bit of farm on mid lane, though, with hardly any vision of where the supports are, aside from this very defensively placed ward bottom lane. He's just spamming back and hoping not to die, and getting completely crushed in terms of CS as well. How basically has safe lane farm, as does Ferrari right now. And the only person keeping the pace is Rabbit on top lane, who is, interestingly enough, just going to go Midas straight into a mech. Now, Winter expressed concerns about not having inventory space for both the Midas and the mech and all of the other items that you want to buy, and I almost want to echo those concerns here. The Chen doesn't need arcanes that much if he's going to be 5-manning with his team, because he has a Crystal Maiden and he has an OD. So the Chen just rushing the mech himself, I don't think it would be a bad decision at all this game. And it would open up the OD to buy something like a Force Staff instead, which he can get more mileage out of than, say, a Chen Force Staff, just because of the way that Chen is going to be positioning himself in fights. DDC and DD, they smoke up, they make their way down towards bot, but looks like they're not going to be able to find anything with this smoke. Your 8-minute rune is another illusion, which is going to be snagged by Xiaowei on the top side, and Faith just going to continue pulling over in the jungle, working his way towards his level 6 as well, though he is going to end up missing the pull through here. So Wave's going to get a little bit out of control, though there isn't anybody here really to benefit from it. Yeah, I was probably going to swing out and grab that experience in a second. And is in fact just farming Ancients right now with Quill Sprays. So something else that your offlane Bristleback can do, stack up Ancients and actually clear them for himself. And I think this is actually the first time that I've seen a Bristleback on the offlane do this. I might not have been paying attention. I've definitely seen offlane Bristlebacks stacking the Ancients, but I've never seen them taking the farm for themselves. This could also be to do with the fact that they do have the Crystal Maiden on their team, and he can actually just sit here consistently spamming Quills and clear them up. But anyway, IG, we've got some phase boots up on How. He's going to be smoked with Faith heading towards mid. Banana has managed to reach his level 6, and Xiaowei up a little bit too far, perhaps, grabbing some creeps. Looks like he's dead for sure. He's going to get cold-feeted, slowed down, lifted, right-clicked, and down he'll go. 1 kill for Faith on the board, not quite level 6, but things looking very, very good for him right now. And IG, I don't know if they're too concerned about the LGD 5-man. They're going to build a mech of their own over on Ferrari, so our 2 safe laners are actually just mirroring one another's builds right now. But LGD, I worry about them a bit more in the long run. Well, I guess it does depend on how well the Bristleback and the Kunkka do, but they are both fairly mid-game oriented core heroes, and the problem for the OD is that even if he gets a whole bunch of farm, Timber and Viper are going to be quite happy to pick up BKBs of their own. So LGD, they've got their mech. Looks like they are going to move in for a push here on the top lane. The Chen's not going to stay relevant for very long just because of the heroes that IG have. You can use an Infest to kill a creep guaranteed every fight. You might have a Midas off cooldown as well somewhere in the midst of it, so the creeps aren't going to be super relevant. And DD, he has been ganking a lot. He had a very reasonable timing for his level 3, level 4, but that failed gank bottom lane did end up costing him quite a bit of time, and he hasn't been able to reach level 6 just yet, which he could in fact have if he'd just been straight jungling. And he does end up going for the arcanes as well. I'm not really sure if I agree with these
Radiant's
arcane
top
boots. I
tower
think he
is
could have
under
just gone
attack.
for a Force Staff instead. All that he really needs is mana capacity. He doesn't really need... He needs a mana pool, but he doesn't really need mana regen. But LGD, 3-man smoke, back behind the tower, looking for YYF. We'll see if they're going to be able to get him. He does have 3 points up in the Timber Chain. They're going to slow him down to start. Can they bite him out of his Timber Chain? He's going to throw the Chakram back. Mass DPs coming in from IG, but one stomp and the second, both used on Faith. They're going to burst him down before he can do anything. The Ice Blast flies in, but no connection damage on anyone, and How trying to man fight against the entire LGD squad. Looks like he's going to be brought down by another round of Kill Spray. He gets X marks back.
Radiant's
One more
top
punch
tower
from the
is under
Bristleback
attack.
kills him. And IG, very unsuccessful defense. Looks like this tier 1 is going to end up dropping. We do have some pressure being applied by Ferrari bottom lane. He's going to turn his Bastion
Radiant's top
and just
tower
push
is
out the
under
Creep Wave
attack.
along with his Buckler, but as a Viper, not a whole lot that he can do to threaten the tower. And Yao, since he walked
Radiant's
top, is just going to be
tower
able to
has
come bot
fallen.
and grab his additional levels.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So LGD, first big movement of them for the game, ends up working out fantastically. It seemed like the Ice Blast was a little bit off the mark from
Radiant's
Banana.
top tower is under attack.
Though it was a difficult team fight to predict where everybody was going to end up, since the plan was to force them back to the tier 1 and then fight kind of underneath it. Instead, LGD charged into the space between the tier 1 and the tier 2 and managed to find 2 kills. So gold graph is going to dip very steeply in favor of LGD. Experience is going to head back towards 0 as well. Faith has managed to grab his level 6. Banana has that level 7. And no points in Ice Vortex just yet. Actually choosing to sink a few more into Chilling Touch. They do have quite a bit of
Radiant's middle
magical
tower
damage.
is
Well,
under
they have a little
attack.
bit of magical damage to take advantage of the Vortex, so... Might see Banana going back for some points a little bit later on. Ferrari, bottom lane, he's got that mech finished. He's now carrying a TP. I don't believe he was for that top tier 1 push. We're going to Force Staff up for our OD. The Kunkka doesn't have a whole lot. Maybe just a drum being delivered to him right now. But LGD, playing LGD style, just going to start trying to 5-man down some towers. And IG looks like they're not feeling quite so confident anymore in their ability to sit behind the Ice Blast and the Timber Saw and Rubik's Spam. They weren't really in position for that top push, and LGD did manage to catch them a little bit by surprise with the smoke. But we'll see what ends up happening this time around. LGD have very obviously moved towards the bottom lane. Yao definitely has people behind him. There's nobody pressuring at other lanes, so a full 5-on-5 is about to break out, and I don't know if you want to focus the Timber Saw to start things off. He could be imprisoned. He could be mech'd. He's going to be Force Staffed away as well, so the Ice Blast is completely whiffed. They know that they have all of their heals here, and YYF gets brought down by the boat and the Sanity's Eclipse. Ferrari jumps in, but he's already used his ultimate in DDC. Going to start dropping the Freezing Field. Defensive imprisonment from the OD is going to keep him up. They did manage to focus down the Bristleback. Ferrari eating damage. The Sanity's Eclipse now brought out by the Rubik. Banana on the sidelines looking to do as much as he can. It's 2 for 2 so far. And looks like LGD at the end of the day are going to end up backing off. I'm not actually quite sure how the Bristleback did end up dying. I thought he got Force Staffed back to safety, but IG were still able to burst him down. The Hand of God went unused in that fight. The OD got his mech off, but it was pretty much just for himself. I thought that after they burst down the Timber Saw that things were actually looking pretty good. Yeah, I was going to get jumped. In comes the Ice Blast. They're going to lift him back into it as well. So no heals will save him, but Faith still brought down in the crossfire. LGD going to pop a drum charge. They're looking for more. They've got another boat here. YYF throws the Timber Chain, throws the Chakram. DDC, what's he got? He's got a bite. Gets hit by the open wounds. Is going to end up turning around. Throws the bite out onto Ferrari. The boat flies in along with the torrent. The mech from Ferrari keeps everybody from IG in fighting shape, and YYF continues to go to work. The Hand of God. Same story for LGD. They're all looking fairly healthy. The mech pops off. It's a really prolonged team fight. Ferrari's going to go down again. The Chakram flies in. YYF out of mana. Rabbit ends up burning down. How? 3 seconds until he can cast another open wounds, but looks like he won't be able to get back in range of anybody else. Does he really want to dive this? How is going all in, and looks like he does get called back by his teammates. So, after all is said and done, we're 7 for 7 on board. LGD make their way bottom lane again, so maybe the non-stop team fight is never going to end. This is the one thing that happens when neither team has particularly great split push. When you've only got a 20-second or so respawn time, yeah, things can, well, I guess a 30-second, 40-second respawn time, things can get pretty ugly in these fights, just because LGD still want to keep pushing. There's no way that IG can really threaten a tier 1 unless they send multiple heroes to it. So it looks like just gonna back off, grab some more items, continue farming. Neither team is really sure if they're advantaged in these fights, and Midases have come back off cooldown, so they need to be used.
Radiant's middle tower
Armlet going to be
is
picked up
under
for our
attack.
Lifestealer. The graph's going to swing back a little bit in favor of IG. Experience actually continues to push out in their direction as well. They do have the triple Midas up right now. Banana picking up his, so going to start working his way towards higher levels. Up on that Ice Blast. Yao gets hit by the open wounds mid lane. Ice Blast is flying in. Is going to debuff at least one here, but it's only the OD.
Dire's bottom
LGD
tower is under attack.
looks like they still want this tower. There is a fortification ready for IG. But again, no split push whatsoever. Nobody is grabbing farm on the top lane. DD is trying to rebuild his Chen army a little bit, but it's 5-man Dota, ladies and gentlemen. We've got an X marks the spot, add onto Ferrari, but the full combo not going to be used. Hao moves in with the open wounds. He's popped his rage. He needs to be careful about how far in he goes here. And will turn around right as the duration ends. The tornado is going to be a bit of a nuisance. Ferrari's already popped their mech. But the defensive spam continues. As Yao can just use Cool Spray on cooldown, and it does not matter. He's got Crystal Maiden Aura, and he's got maxed out Essence Aura right now. It's just an absolute stalemate. A little bit of damage, little bit more damage dealt to the tier 1, but both teams turn up mid, stare one another down, spam down some waves with their AoE, and then back off to continue farming. Though I do still think LGD are probably the ones that want to be a little bit more aggressive. If they can bring down these tier 1 towers, they have a very easy path into Roshan. They're going for these more teamfight oriented items. Yao's just gone for a Vanguard. We've got, well, the beginnings of a Shadow Blade up on Xiao 8. It's not actually completed just yet. Rabbit also just going to be shipping out some treads right now. And the line was drawn from Faith. He suspects that there might be a little bit of a loop around, but as soon as they spot Xiao 8 bottom lane not carrying a TP scroll just yet, those fears will probably be relieved, and yeah, Faith is just going to go down and play some wards. But top lane, nobody's been there for maybe 8 minutes now. We do have YYF making his way up there, but he's been the first person for a while. I think IG have done a pretty good job of positioning heroes where they are. Banana unfortunately doesn't have a TP, but is going to have a bit of a run-up for this defense, perhaps of mid lane. LGD 4-man smoke. We'll see what they can find. They could even choose to sneak into Roshan if they really wanted to, but I think they would prefer to bring down some more tier 1 towers before they go for it. And LGD not tracking along the line that Faith drew earlier. They're actually just swinging down into the jungle. Yao keeping that warpath stacked up by just non-stop quill spraying. And ping spam goes out. IG not really in position to defend this. Banana really wishes that he had a TP scroll. He gets spotted. He's going to get bashed to death by the bristleback, and IG, I really don't think that they can defend this. Maybe if you buy back your Ancient Apparition, which he doesn't have, fortify, 4 heroes start TPing, and the Ice Blast flies in, then it's okay, but IG instead, just going to go for the tier 1 tower mid, looking for a little bit of a trade, though, as Winter said in the previous game, if you want to take a tier 1 tower off IG, you've got to work for it. YYF is sneaky enough on top lane to pick up one of his own, so nice little chunk of gold heading his way. The bristleback is just straight tanking up. Yao going for Vanguard and Blade Mail right now. But, still very close in terms of gold. The Midases are going to keep ticking away for IG, so holding on to that experience lead. Gold, barely anything in it right now. Pretty much at this point it all comes down to items. It comes down to smart use of smoke and smart use of your buyback as well. So I might spend a little bit of time on the buyback status here and there, guys, in between. between net worth. How is actually going to be able to pick up this tower on middle lane. YYF being focused. The boat's coming in. He's going to deal as much damage as he possibly can before that flies in. How pops out to say hello. The Hand of God's going to be used. Faith tried to get his hands on something there, but brought down by the Sanity's Eclipse. How trying to put his armlet on and run away, but YYF chasing after him. One more Quill Spray brings him down. Banana isolated in the trees, finished off by the Arcane Orb. Ferrari going to keep on trying to fight, but the defensive imprisonment is going to be able to keep the Chen alive. He gets dragged back into a torrent, and while IG did manage to get the tower, it was not without LGD wiping them out 5 for 1 and taking the tier 1 tower of their own, and maybe even just immediately swinging over to Roshan. They've got some points in goo. They are going to be sending back Xiao 8, but only for a moment so that he can refill his bottle and grab his Shadow Blade. So if anybody didn't catch that, that was start TPing, send back, get some time. Well, start TPing. Well, he's got sent back, then he X'd himself, so didn't even use his TP scroll. Yeah. Full bottle, Shadow Blade done. They head into the Roshan pit. He's dropping really quickly because of Arcane Orb and goo. There is an Ice Blast flying in.
Roshan has fallen
LGD already done, and after that last fight, expect things to head south as far as golden experience are concerned. We've got pretty similar warding situations right now for both teams, but IG, I don't think that this is going nearly as well as they planned. They were really hoping that this Ice Blast was going to stop LGD from pushing along with the Chakram, but YYF hasn't actually been able to get into this critical space behind the tower because they can just force staff Xiao 8 into 3 points X marks the spot, locked in the Timber Saw, and actually kill him with a combo. So IG, realizing that they can't actually hold the siege, are actually going to smoke up and look for some pickoffs. LGD split up just a tiny bit, but Xiao 8 rejoins the pack. How is going to run in on top of Rabbit, but he's able to force staff away. Can they burst down the Chen? No, he ends up getting hit by the Astral Imprisonment, saving his life for now. The boat comes in. Imprisonment stolen by Faith, puts himself under to save himself from the Kunkka. Only the one death so far. The Bristleback brought down in the meantime. Rabbit, they're going to try and send him home, and with the imprisonment they will be able to do so. So IG catching LGD a little bit off guard. They find one kill, but it looks like everybody on LGD is going to be fine to get out of there. DD, a little bit too close. Gets hit by the open wounds, brought down underneath the tier 1 tower. IG, another tier 1 claim for them. So the back and forth continues. DDC runs in, but How manages to cancel his TP in time, though he eats the Sanity's Eclipse full in the face. IG going to keep on trying to fight Rabbits here. Right clicks down the Lifestealer, but LGD don't have too many heroes around, and Xiao 8 eats an Ice Blast, as does Rabbit. YYF going to keep on fighting. Ferrari pops out. Ultra kill for Rabbit. Ferrari's going to be TPing away as the Aegis is popped, and Rabbit pops up one more time. I thought that Sanity's Eclipse was used on the Lifestealer over here, but it also, I think it was also just used. So, looks like Nakes got comboed by something else. Not actually quite sure what slapped him around so badly. Might have just got hit by the Test of Faith from Chen. But DD has managed to pick himself up a Force Staff. They do have an Urn up on DDC as well, and he's also got a Force Staff. So mass Force Staffs on their way for LGD. Still just a triple Midas up for IG. Checking in on overall items, Faith has just got a Ghost Scepter, which is going to help out quite a bit against the Bristleback and the Kunkka AoE damage. Ferrari is working towards that BKB. YYF still trying to finish up his Bloodstone for the time being, but expect him to start working towards a BKB once that's done. And How just a Basher picked up on top of the Armlet. So still a very close game. Gold and experience still hovering around at basically nothing. 3k gold, 5k experience. So a bit of a lead in favor of LGD. They have lost their Aegis, but pretty aggressive moves over here. Mass pings from IG as the Chen gets spotted out by the Radiant Ward. LGD are going to end up smoking. A little bit conspicuously, but How is actually all the way over on middle lane and needs to start running out, but there's already a Hex up on Rabbit. That Midas is more than paid for itself. 24-minute Hex. How hexed up, not even going to be able to rage and TP out. Just gets punched to death by the Bristle.
Tower is under attack.
Yeesh. It's a very timely Hex from Rabbit. And IG? I don't know. I think this Ancient Apparition has done less than they were hoping for it to do. Banana has pretty much just been holding his ult well, ready for the team fights, which isn't bad, but with the new cooldown you can also use it to apply a little bit of pressure to other lanes that are pushing in. But LGD surround this tier 1 tower on mid lane. IG have a fortification, but without their lifestealer, not even going to consider taking this fight. We've got a couple of buybacks up, but none of them too relevant, most of them on the aggressive team LGD, and they get another tower, they back off, they farm. YYF has been able to finish up his Bloodstone right around 26 minutes, so unfortunately not the best timing for him, but he hasn't really had any time to farm. He's only got 54 creeps to his name. He's been in pretty much every single team fight so far. 3 kills, 4 deaths, 5 assists. And Xiaowei working on a BKB. Another 1600 gold up for Rabbit. So if he would like to start working his way towards the Shivas to deal with the right click from the Lifestealer and the Viper, he most definitely could. Roshan's going to be respawning in about 3.5 minutes time, so plenty of farming space for LGD. They've been opportunists as well with placing down wards, so really good vision at the moment. If we check in on the dire vision, you can see that they've got a really good idea of all of the movements from IG, and also covering a lot of normal places where IG could look to smoke. So LGD also prepared for that. Checking in on our smoke stack. Well, checking in on smoke stock. We've got no smokes left in the store for IG. We've got no smokes left in the store for LGD either, and both of them pretty much right on the same time in terms of restocking. Do we have any left in inventories? There is one over on Faith, and I'll just have a quick look at the couriers as well, though probably not. No. So just the one smoke left in the game. Both teams have made great use of it so far. So it looks like we are going to settle into a slightly farmier spot for the next couple of minutes until Roshan is back on the agenda and maybe a team has a smoke. How actually solo killed by Rabbit top lane. Hexed into the Sanity's Eclipse, couple right clicks bring him down, farming out a bit too far against the OD with the Hex, and Rabbit. Things are looking great for him. 9, 2, and 7. And I guess showing off the carry potential of the OD. I still don't know if he needed to go for this mech, but I won't dwell on it too much, given what a great game he's had. And with that pickoff, which wasn't even really worked towards by LGD, we're just gonna head bottom lane, look for this tier 2. There is a fortification, but IG can't really take a fight, so they're just gonna push out mid lane, if at all possible. And more gold in the hands of LGD coming up next. So experience has moved out to a 10k deficit, 7.5k the gold lead as well in favor of LGD. We've almost got a BKB up for the Bristleback. I think we've got the BKB for the Kunkka finished, and another 1300 gold, so damage on its way next, well, more than likely for Xiaowei. And IG just kind of roaming the map, keeping lanes out, doing what they can. We've got the BKB finished up for Ferrari. YYF, how is his BKB farm going? Not too close just yet. And LGD, another opportunity just to place a really aggressive ward. Taking full control of the Radiant jungle. DDC is going to grab some good farm there. They've got somebody over at the Ancients. They're just being very efficient in terms of how they're using their time, and because of that, they're going to continue outstripping IG like this in terms of overall farm. And for IG, it's a really difficult situation to be in, because the expectation was that the spam from the Rubik, the Timbersaw, and the Ancient Apparition was going to be able to stop the pushes for LGD, but they didn't really have any split push heroes to take advantage of the delay, so they never forced LGD into making a difficult decision. They are going to look for Rabbit on mid lane, but pretty much your most difficult target to gank at this point, with both a BKB, a Hex, an Imprisonment, and a tier 2 tower at his back. So if you jump this OD, if he manages to get his BKB off, if he puts himself under, everybody from LGD is going to turn up and more than likely just wipe out IG. Banana's still just chilling out bottom lane, working on his Aghanim Scepter, but we've already got BKBs on everybody that really matters on LGD.
Top tower is under attack.
Ice Blast starting to look a little bit less great, and Xiao, considering running in here, he's going to throw down a torrent. Faith walks into it. No boat just yet, but IG trapped in some confined space. Xiao gets hit by the open wounds, but immediately BKBs. He is getting hammered down by Hao, but there's still a Hand of God to come in. Gets another bash. Can he bring him down? No. Xiao able to pop the Shadow Blade. They bring down YYF. Godlike streak for Rabbit. He's getting glitched around the corner a little bit. There's a bug that should probably be fixed. The boat's coming in. Hao able to hide inside a creep, but still jumps out into the boat. Stun. Not having the best game today. Beyond godlike for Rabbit. 10 kills the lead in favor of LGD. DDC is still looking for Banana. Didn't manage to connect the Crystal Nova, but still tracking him down right now. And looks like he is just going to get punched to death.
Tower has fallen.
Gets a bit of time in the sin bin to think about his life, think about the position that his team is in. But LGD, tier 2 down, YYF about to be dragged back into a torrent. Can they actually bring him down here? They might be able to. Rabbit jumps in, he's got his Hex off cooldown. Faith steals the imprisonment, but Rabbit just going to keep on going, drops the sanities, not quite able to kill off the Rubik. And YYF actually still looking pretty healthy. The X marks goes out. Rabbit forced staff back to safety. DDC dropping a big freezing field right on top of Ferrari, who didn't have his BKB off cooldown as he ran into that fight. Buybacks now being used by IG, trying to get LGD outside of the base. There's a bash up on the Crystal Maiden, but Hao won't be able to pick up that kill. 4 stabs, the bane of Lifestealer's existence, will end up keeping her safe. And, yeah, just going to be sent back to base. So LGD, it looked like they might have overextended there a little bit. There were a bunch of buybacks from IG trying to punish, but neither of those buybacks end up picking up any kills. So whether or not it was calculated from LGD is up for debate, but the overall outcome was fantastic for them. Rabbit, what's he got? Another 3.7k gold. Is there something on the courier? Not just yet, so we'll be waiting around a little bit for that next item, but IG, this game has not gone to plan whatsoever. Banana is still trying to finish up farming this Aghanim Scepter, but what it accomplishes for them is still a little bit in question. And YYF 3 Bloodstone charges, doesn't have his BKB. Faith, he's level 11, he's doing alright, but again, just not super impactful in these fights. We saw the Crystal Maiden, she dropped the freezing field, she did a huge chunk of damage to the Viper and helped bring him down. Rubik, meanwhile, is kind of stealing imprisonment and saving his teammates, but his total damage contribution is very, very low at this point. So Roshan has respawned. IG chasing out, looking for a fight, but Xiao throws at the X marks. Ferrari, is he going to use the BKB just yet? No, stays patient, still gets lifted up by the torrent, gets slowed down by the goo as well. Do they have anything to get him out of here? He's being forced to pop the BKB. Hao jumps in, YYF being focused, he got bitten up. Rabbit Rabbit using his BKB as well, force-staffs himself back. Ferrari, BKB's worn off. Yao, torrent gonna keep him safe from the Lifestealer, and there's no rage left anymore either. They've all been slowed down so much. Faith, he's popped his Ghost Scepter, he's run into the middle of everything here. He steals the freezing field, but he's just gonna get chopped down by Xiao. Ferrari will be next to fall. Rabbit, the godlike streak is finally ended by Ferrari with his passive. So 1400 gold going to him, but it's another team wipe in favor of LGD. No buybacks used for that one either, and Director 8 and DDC just gonna head down mid and maybe plink away at the tier 3 a little bit. There's still a Roshan up, so, and there isn't actually a buyback on Rabbit though. We've got a bit of a lull here. Ferrari no buyback, Lifestealer no buyback, so they're both dead for as long as you see, and looks like right now it's just gonna be Crystal Maiden as queen of the map, wandering around finding farm wherever she wants. But this is starting to look pretty bad for IG. They haven't been able to win a team fight in a very long time. They're down 15k gold. They're down over 20k experience. The fact that they're actually still holding on in the way that they are is frankly very impressive. Got an AC picked up for Xiao, so that cool spray is going to start hurting just that little bit more. Not going to do a whole lot for his own damage, aside from his direct right click, but still a great item to have here, and will help them bring down Roshan just that little bit quicker. So everybody's almost back up, bar the OD, who is level 23. He's managed to finish up his Shiva's guard as well. Banana just trying to grab level 16 on top lane, and it looks like LGD are actually going to be able to pick up Roshan. No muss, no fuss. Hardly any life lost on the Bristleback as well. He just tanks this up, and we'll see who they end up giving this to. The Bristleback is alright, but he's
Roshan
very
has fallen
tanky,
to the dire.
and is actually going to end up being Zhao. But poor Hao, he has not gotten an item in a very long time. He's had his Midas Armlet Skull Basher for a bit, but not only is he been... So he died solo top lane. He wasn't able to escape from that creep because he got boated over by the tier 2. He bought back, didn't get a kill. Yeah, it's been hard times for the Lifestealer this game, and yeah, he is tied with YYF for most deaths in this game. And I guess the other big problem for the Timbersaw is that the OD just doesn't care about how much health the Timber has, how much armor he has. He's just gonna beat him to death with Arcane Orb, and until the Timber can get this BKB, he's not really doing a hell of a lot in fights. So X marks out onto Ferrari, trying to force out some BKBs from long range here. LGD forcing up onto the high ground. There is a fortification ready, but IG need to take a fight here. There's only a couple of buybacks ready. Cleave wipes out the creep wave. So both teams kind of awkwardly waiting around. Alpha Wolf sitting just outside the base. Couple of vortexes used. Banana. Not much of a run up for his ultimate here, but has his eye on the prize. We've got a Blink Dagger picked up for the Crystal Maiden, being brought out right now on the Courier. And she's got this BKB. And she's got level 16. This freezing field could be decimating for IG. We'll keep an eye out for it. A little bit more harassment happening. Hao will be forced to use his rage, so won't be able to engage for a little bit. And Rabbit keeps on pinging away at this tower, little by little, minute by minute. Yao also just up here with max Warpath stacks.
Radiant
Well, not max,
structures are
but
fortified.
as many as he can maintain by just spamming Quill Spray. Fortification's being used, but still no engage from IG. Still don't even know. Well, they still don't even know if they can even get into this fight. There is going to be an Aghanim Scepter picked up for the Viper. Faith loses a third of his hit points to Zhao, who gets lifted further back in so that he can drop an X marks on the only person who doesn't have a BKB. YYF going to be bursted down to start. The Sanity's Eclipse wipes the Rubik clean off the face of the earth before he can do anything. Hao forced to hide inside one of Chen's creeps, now popping out. YYF will end up buying back, but looks like LGD quite easily bring down the ranged barracks. Another buyback from the Rubik. LGD gonna keep on fighting. Zhao might end up going down, but he gets imprisoned. Age is not even used just yet. The freezing field is huge. Hao trying to run in. He gets the first hit bash onto DDC. A little bit of good luck for him. Zhao keeps on fighting. The Aegis is finally being popped. Ferrari's about to be brought down by one more right click from Rabbit, and LGD here to finish what they started. They're gonna bring down this melee barracks, and they will get the GG out of IG as well. So
Dire's top tower is under attack.
it really seems
LGD
like IG had a very clear game plan going into this, but the counter push power was just not what they expected it to be, and LGD are going to end up walking away with game 1 of our lower bracket final best of 3. So guys, I've been SinaCup here providing coverage on behalf of Beyond the Summit. Again, if you want to leave me some feedback, SinaCupDota@gmail.com is your best port of call. Otherwise, I'm going to go see if anybody has popped up in between games that would be interested in co-casting, and we'll be back in probably 2-3 minutes time with the second game of this best of 3. I hope to see you then.